The FS Breakfast Club, every Monday from 10:30 with Stevie P and XReactingtoRugby. Live and exclusively on Forever Sports.
We are back, and X, a lot has happened since we were last in studio. Unfortunately, Rassie just doesn't want this to happen. Apparently, he's throwing in the spanners because we were supposed to have this last week, and all of a sudden we had to run around to press conferences. We were supposed to have this yesterday, and then Rassie decided to announce his team. So it's been a while. How are you?
I'm well, Stevie. Apologies all around. I mean, we are just obviously trying to get a grip to what is Rassie wanting to do with his team announcements. Thursday last week, Monday this week, but we'll make it work. We won't skip more than a week to get a show going.
Correct. That's the thing. And that's the thing. Those of you who have been around here with Forever Sports, they'll know. We get all the different curveballs thrown, but we will continue. We will forge through the mess that is currently South African rugby fans who are very emotional, myself included. It's tough weekend. But coming up on the Breakfast Club, and for those of you new to the show, welcome. Every Monday morning, theoretically, depending Springbok team announcements and the likes of that. Basically, we just break down the news and what's going on in the rugby world at a very, very interesting time at the moment, because we do have a Bok team announcement. We obviously reading from the weekend's results, and also got some bit of Curry Cups to chat about. And rugby's greatest rivalry, I'll tell you, it's really gearing up. And I am going tonight. I believe you are going tonight as well.
Yes, sir.
Yep. So my first time into the stadium this year, which is going to be quite cool. Lions set to upset the All Blacks. So make sure you monitor both Forever Sports, even Stevie P Sport, if we really go all the way, as well as obviously XReactingtoRugby for the match day vlogs. And the question we're going to be talking about today, and it's going to be a contentious one, and very interested to see what everybody has to say, is boring rugby, question marks. Is that what is on the cards for this weekend? Rassie Erasmus has gone back to an interesting selection of what could be the most experienced Springbok team of all time from a caps and the likes point of view, and lots to sort of break down. But before we talk about the weekend to come, we have to visit the weekend that was. X, have you recovered? This is the question.
I have. Every day is a new day. We're taking a day. Today I woke up with a little bit of, I'm going to call it frustration. I did say it a couple of times yesterday on my social media, and I mentioned how much I'm getting a lot of secondhand embarrassment now, Stevie. It is sort of my cameo into the content creating in the rugby space. I've stayed away from the comment sections for reasons. I do think we were a bit arrogant, and I'm gonna include myself. I am a Safa, I'm a Springbok fan. We were a bit arrogant talking about a 4-0 win in the series, and I think last year, let's take it back to before the World Cup. We beat the All Blacks in London. We beat them again in the final 1 point. We lose to the All Blacks in Eden Park, being coached by a coach that they've since let go. What I'm trying to highlight is that the All Blacks, regardless of where they are or what we may perceive is their best or not their best, they are still the second, well, now the first ranked team in the world. There will always be competition. We say things easily, during a season. We'll talk about, the top 6 in the world. Anyone can beat anyone in any day, but we can quickly go and say that the Springboks will beat the All Blacks 4 times in a row. And I think now we are in a position where we need to take it in the chin. Like everything going on social media, the All Black fans, the podcasts in New Zealand, the fans that are in South Africa, they're walking with a bounce in South Africa. They cannot own the country right now.
Yeah, no, it's tough. It's tough. I put it out on Sunday. I said we're in the trenches out here. A lot of it, and this is what's been interesting. A lot of it is we throw around the banter and the likes of that, and thankfully a lot of the All Black fans have jumped on the banter bandwagon and are throwing it around. Most of it is very good natured, but yeah, we are unfortunately having to take a bit of an L reset. I will say though that there was 12 matches unbeaten, so it's you can't, heavy as the crown at the end of the day. But yeah, but I think at the same time, in terms of the wake up calls can be very important, and there's no doubt that this past weekend was one. I would have liked the wake up call to have been this weekend. I would have liked to have gone 1-0 up, 1-1, and then I think 2-1, 3-1 becomes quite not straightforward, but more straightforward than now having to go 3-bar across the last three. So it is a Kilimanjaro that we do have to try and conquer now. But I think the big question at the moment is we continue to do it. We continue to lose a game here and then go on this run. And I think what we've had to learn over the last few years is how to live at the top.
Yeah.
We keep building this axe against the wall, written off. And for the last 2 years, deservedly so, we have been talked up as this colossus of depth and talent and a coaching staff, of incredible diversity. And we've had to learn how to deal with that kind of pressure, which means that when you lose a game, you have to now take that. And it's cool because I was just been watching All or Nothing All Blacks, and they did it on the 2017 season, and they drew to the British and Irish Lions, won the Bledisloe, lost to Australia though in one test. They effectively lost 2 tests and drew one, but had some sketchy performances, and Steve Hansen was under pressure, and the last sort of closing was basically any other international team, this would be an incredibly successful season to draw with the British and Irish Lions, win the Rugby Championship, win the Bledisloe Cup, but they said for the All Blacks, it's not enough. Yeah. And I think we started to move towards that system where we were like, cool, we've won back-to-back World Cups, we won a British and Irish Lions, but we weren't consistent enough 2019 to 23. 23 to now, we have been. We've been winning most of our games. We dropped a game against Ireland, we've dropped a game against the All Blacks, and we've dropped a game against Argentina and Australia, but that's effectively been it. Yeah. So we are now in a situation where because we've been so dominant, it's a bit like the All Black situation. We lost one game and we are having a meltdown. The style of play is not good enough. The coaches are in trouble. The team's old, and how alarmist should we be? Is the question.
I think if anything, I was looking at this situation. Rassie speaks a lot. When he came into the helm 2018, the goal for the team was to go to New Zealand and beat New Zealand, and that the aim for that victory there was to gain the trust of the South African fans. Obviously, before that time, there were horrible things happening, people burning jerseys. So coming here or rather going to New Zealand and winning their statement win, we get a lot of the support back. He did have a 50% win rate that season. Now, I say this to say the All Blacks are also sort of in a situation. New coach, in Dave Rennie, and I think if anything it was more about, I think I'm gonna just say maybe the All Blacks wanted it a bit more, winning in Ellis Park, what we call the fortress. Now obviously we couldn't beat them in Eden Park. Again, I was saying I think Sunday, the mana that they speak of in New Zealand, I think mentally when they want to win, they will win regardless of maybe what could be going on in and around the camp. But I think that win was a statement win. And I think a lot of the sentiments from New Zealand were, if we want to be competent in this tour, we have to win that first test. Right? And I think, not to say now we will want it more than them, but I think now we are in that position that we think, or rather that I thought we had outgrown. We like to be against the wall. We like to, like Rassie said, he was asked, is this catastrophic? Is this bad? And he said, listen, we lost in the World Cup first game. We've been in these situations before. Now what we need to do is to win 3 games on the trot, which is going to be, like you say, a Mount Kilimanjaro to climb.
Yeah, well, interestingly enough, we talk about the Kilimanjaro to come. And we're very lucky, by the way. I didn't want to tease it earlier until we had complete confirmation. But we do have a guest joining us. And his name is Dave. And if anybody has heard of the Rayburn Shield, it is basically rugby's lineal world title. And for those of you who follow boxing, lineal title means you get it. If you get beaten, you hand it over. And it basically keeps going on to whoever beats the last title holder. And he probably has been having a pretty good last week, given the result. But that's the reason we bring him in is because we had the chance to get the Shield back this past weekend, and New Zealand currently hold it, and that's kind of on the line, and it's a bit of a official, unofficial sort of a trophy. So. Yeah, we're very lucky that we're going to be bringing in Dave very shortly to chat about it, and it's just a bit of an extra thing that was on the line for this series in the next couple of weeks is the fact that we've got something a little bit extra to play for. So coming up after the break, by the way, for those of you who've just joined, please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Vote in the comments. What do you think? Do you like the Springbok team for this weekend? Do you like the fact that we might be going back to basics? Are you very anti the fact that we're going to go to basics? Let us know in the comments below. And we're going to now get into a little bit about what the Rayburn Shield is, how Dave is feeling after the weekend, as well as what to look forward to this coming weekend. But welcome to the Breakfast Club, and let's get involved.
The FS Breakfast Club, every Monday from 10:30 with Stevie P and XReactingtoRugby. Live and exclusively on Forever Sports.
We like winning trophies at the end of the day, and so we should, because see Kolisi, I reckon majority of his gym work on a yearly basis in the last few years has been lifting titles. It's lifting World Cups, it's been lifting rugby championships, and unfortunately, we should have gotten the Shield sent over here, really. But we're going to be bringing in Dave, and Dave is the creator of the Rayburn Shield, as mentioned, which is rugby's lineal title. Dave, can you hear us?
I can, thank you. And I'm delighted to join you, thank you.
Well, Dave, it's been a tough time down here in South Africa the last couple of days, as you can imagine. But for those of you who don't know, before we sort of go talking to where that pretty epic shield behind you is going, what is the Rayburn Shield? Where did it come from? Who does it currently belong to? And what is the significance of it?
Yeah, I guess the easiest way to describe it in a single line is it's winner stays on. So if you hold the shield, the next team to beat you gets it. It's like the man that beat the man that beat the man. And the beautiful thing about it is it goes all the way back to 1871 and the first ever rugby international. So you go back to Rayburn Place where Scotland beat England. Scotland won and they become your champs. Whoever beats them takes it off them, which was England in 1872. And then we've had 715 matches now between 1871 and today. And I can show you a line of winners from the birth of the game until today. And New Zealand recently took off of Ireland, and now they hold it. And so they defended it in the match on the weekend. And then it goes straight back on the line again this weekend in Cape Town. So it's up for grabs. The Boks can take it. And that's how it works. It's going to keep doing that. It'll go forward. Whoever takes it out of the series, they have to keep defending it. It's just fun.
Yeah, so I suppose quick math from a Rayburn Shield point of view, that fourth test is everything, because that's who he'll walk away with it. Right. I was going to say stroke our egos, but I assume the All Blacks have probably held on to this the most and for the longest over the last 750 matches, whatever it was.
So yeah, if we count it by matches, then the All Blacks are the winners. South Africa are second, but South Africa beat them in time. So like South Africa won it in 1937, for instance.
There we go. That's what
and they didn't lose it until 1953. Now, granted, there was only 12 matches, and there was a world war in the way.
No. We don't worry about technicalities. We spin a narrative here.
16 years, that's epic, right? And actually, I always worry when South Africa win it, because World War One, South Africa held it. World War Two, South Africa held it. You won it in 2019 during the Rugby World Cup, and then we had a pandemic. So I'm nervous, guys, because the world's a rough place at the moment.
Yeah.
If you guys win in Cape Town, we could be in trouble.
I mean, I suppose the last test in the USA and Baltimore, maybe Donald Trump decides, well, it is time. We're on the phone there. We've told him, listen, the second that we win that Baltimore test, shut it all down. The Strait of Hormuz is going to close it down. There's going to be no more rugby. World Cup's going to be called off. So I suppose at the moment it's the Springboks win it at all of our own peril. But Dave, you've now actually got a physical shield. And obviously, for those of you who don't, go check out Raven Shield on all the different socials. Very, very cool stuff being done. What is the vision of the project, and how can people support it?
Yeah. I guess it's worth saying, right? This isn't official. There's no big corporate interest behind this. I'm a bloke who loves rugby a little bit too much, and I just think that this adds something to the game. So this is my passion project. This is for the love of the game. And it's my vision for it is actually that it doesn't matter if World Rugby recognise it, because if us fans and the players start to buy into it and we enjoy it, well, the data's real. It already exists. We already know what's happening. We get to enjoy it. We have way more power than we realise, right? If we buy into it, it's done. Job's done. World Rugby will come and go, can we please get involved? But actually, the power sits with us, the fans, to make this happen. So my vision is, when I'm long dead and buried in the ground, I want rugby fans to be enjoying passing around a challenge shield and getting joy out of it, right? I could think of no better thing than leaving that to the world. And so that means that my passion project is, I have to ask forgiveness from my wife. Like, I'm flying to Johannesburg next week.
Oh, are you?
And there's no corporate structures or support behind that. That's
so what you're saying,
going,
Dave, is we could actually have this in a week's time, and yet we could have the Raven Shield behind myself. Put you on the spot here, because now you're going to have to make this commitment. Well, here we go. You heard it here first. We will be seeing the... Are you bringing the shield?
I'm bringing the shield. Okay. I'm very nervous of British Airways losing it, but I'm bringing it.
Listen, they talk about South Africa, but and the crime rate. Might be willing to start adding to a statistic when I see that in person. It just looked very good in our studio.
It's a shield. I've got something to defend myself, right? So.
Listen, we have got things called pungas down here, and we will introduce you to them next week. But brilliant. Well, there we go. So hopefully we'll be able to do a segment in person. And then, Dave, so it's in terms of the corporate backing. I'll tell you what, first of all, let South Africa win it, and South African corporate will take care of that. I'll tell you that is something, if we can flaunt it, we will down in this country. So where so far have you been able to take it?
Yeah, so the Rayburn Shield was actually only physically made this year. I've been doing this since 2008, by the way. We came up with it in an internet forum where we just went, what happens if we play Winner Stays On? We figured out the data, and I was just like, this is amazing, we should do it. And I'm a quite persistent man, so I've definitely stuck with it. So this year, I managed to get into Twickenham. I could only get it in after the game in the first Six Nations match, because England held it at the time. And the security staff were like, yeah, you can't have it in, but we'll hold it at the gate for you. Wow. So afterwards, I was able to come back to them and be like, hey, I'm not taking it into the stadium. Can I just bring it? So I was able to get into the hands of the English players, because I knew where they go for corporate entertainment. Most of them looked at me blankly, but smiled and held it anyway. There's work to be done. Yeah. And then the following week, England took it to Murrayfield, and I went up to Murrayfield with it, and actually managed to get into the stadium through a few contacts, got it through security. We had it within the Stadium Bowl. It was epic, and Scotland took it off England that day. So it was a huge, fun day. And the path from there, Scotland lost it to Ireland. Ireland lost it to New Zealand. We are where we are today. South Africa could have it next. So it's been a few places, and I'm hoping it'll be an FNB stadium. I've got a few irons in the fire that I'm trying to make it happen. We'll see. You gotta hope for the best, put the conditions in place, and see what happens.
A quick one, Dave. What happens when it comes to tours? The All Blacks are playing Lions this evening. Is it a international only shield, or British and Irish Lions potentially this evening. Can a club or a non-sort of international IRB ranked international team win it?
That's a great question. Interestingly, I have looked at the data, and the Lions have held it multiple times, or would have held it, I should say. They're not eligible. And club teams could hold it, or can't hold it, but they have beaten hold it. So like 1907, for instance, Cardiff beat the Springboks, 1st of January, 1907.
Wow, that's good.
And the Springboks held the shield at that point.
Yeah.
I should apologise. I am a bit of a rugby geek. Rugby Norse, I think they call it over here. But so there's teams in the Barbarians have beaten, I think it was like 2012, the All Blacks, they took a win and they had the shield. So those teams have beaten them, but actually one prize outside of this, the Rugby World Cup, that any nation can win. This isn't trying to compete with that. It's like trying an additional thing, but it is another title that any nation can win. So that's why I do call it a world title, just because all the rest, you're limited, right? It's like 6 nations, there's only 6 teams that can win it, Rugby Championship, Bledisloe. Whereas this, Romania held it in 1984. Any nation can hold Romania. That's fun.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, and I'm saying when, because I even made it in my prediction last night that the Lions are doing a job tonight. When the Lions go and get the result, I will reach out to my contacts there, and we will get the Lions squad together next week with as the Lions been a while since we've held a trophy. X will know because the Sharks beat us in the Currie Cup final 2 years ago, and so we might not have won a Super Rugby, but maybe we could. To be fair, if there was ever a redemption for losing 3 Super Rugby finals in a row to New Zealand opposition, beating the All Blacks to get a little trophy there would be a good one to do it. Dave, slightly away from the Shield, as a rugby fan, what's it been like over there? Are people quite chuffed with life at the moment?
Yeah, so it's really interesting, right? So I'm a Kiwi, but actually I live in the UK, so I'm based in Twickenham. But it's been really interesting, the response. Obviously, as a New Zealander personally, it's so exciting, right? Remarkable to see the team step up and come through. I think there's a lot of people getting massively overexcited. People need to remember the Springbok team remains an excellent team. Like, there's a reason why they are where they are. And so Cape Town is still a game where I look at and go, there's a level of confidence because the All Blacks have played well and they deserve it. But people writing off the Springbok team, that's insanity, right? Like, this is a great side. But it's interesting observing social media. People talk about great fans, bad fans. Every nation has.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I've been saying, because somebody commented saying, well, at least the All Black fans are humble in victory, and I said, my man, I have been abused the last few days.
Yeah, it's like we all have that feral minority.
Correct. So how much of a I don't think it was as big of a shock, because I think they've been trending in the right way. But was there a sense of, we can do this, but almost a bit of like we can do it, if X, Y, and then they got the job done.
So it's really interesting, right? I have huge respect for the Springboks, and I think they have been amazing. I thought we would win, and that wasn't from a place of hope that was from a fact of looking at the talent that New Zealand has, looking at the way they've combined together. I think people talk about the depth conversation goes on a lot. And there's a lot of people writing off the depth in New Zealand rugby, which, I'll be honest, I find hilarious. Because you look at the NPC going on right now without any of these players, there is quality out there on that pitch. And that's not to downplay the South Africans, because actually we all know how good they are, and we know how good that depth is. So it wasn't a surprise to me. What I would say is, whenever we play the Springboks as a New Zealander, I fear the result. Even in the teens, right? Even when we had that period where we were on top very much, I still went into a Springbok game nervous as all heck. And that's actually, I think, for both fans, that's why it's so special.
Well, I guess that's the whole rugby's greatest rivalry, is that even when they're at the top, and even when I'll go back to an interesting part. We go back to 57-0.
Yeah.
What people forget is the return fixture in Cape Town was on a knife edge. So you can go from 57-0 complete shutout to within inches of beating them a couple. So I think it's just form goes out the window when these two teams play. In terms of the depth, do you think it's the case? And I mean, obviously it's the new era and stuff like that, but we felt a bit last year that we were seeing an All Black side that wasn't representative of some of the players that they have. I mean, I watched Cameron Oigott for the first time at 2023 World Cup live. And I remember going saying they're losing so many players after this World Cup. And I was like, how do you replace Aaron Smith? And I watched him for 25 minutes and I went, oh, hang on, that's how you replace Aaron Smith. Even like Ruben Love, people have been talking about, and again, we spoke about recency bias because everyone's been saying, oh, Ruben Love's like the best 10 in the world. Like he's this. And I was like, guys, this is only his 8th test.
Yeah.
Like he's barely been backed. So I feel like we're finally starting to see new players starting to come through that. I mean, I look at the lock pairing, for example. If you go back a couple of years ago, nobody outside New Zealand would know David Holland, Josh Lord, Sam Derry, for example. And I thought that the lock pairing in particular have been really, really good this tour.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's be real, right? We've got ourselves a Dutch engine. So we managed to see a little bit of Afrikaans magic.
You got Germans been floating in there. It was bad enough when you guys were full of the Tongans, Fijians, Samoans. Now you're throwing in Dutch players, you're bringing Germans. This is starting to get a bit of World 15.
Hey, man, this is the power of the team. People want to play for it. They come over as kids, right? I mean, they come over as teenagers going, this is what I want to align with. I think it's beautiful. I'm not so keen on people coming over on a professional contract and switching nations. That feels wrong. But when they come over young, I'm like, fill your boots.
Well, you know what, Mark? I think the Mark Talea qualifies for South Africa very shortly, so maybe we'll throw a counterpunch.
And with Cheslin getting an injury, you know. But by the way, that man, he's remarkable. He could step someone in a phone box, right? And how on earth does he spring up and outcompete players who dwarf him? It's just.
And then just in terms of side quest, decides to just become basically 100% international goal kicker. I think he's missed one so far since he started.
Yeah. Because I think that's Japan, right? It's there goes Japan's influence. He's been kicking over there.
Yeah. I know because we had a very contentious combined 15 last week on the match show that we do, and the big thing we said we're not going to cop out and say Cheslin 11, Will Jordan 14. They both played 14 most of the time. Who have you got? And we sat there looking at Will Jordan saying he's one of the best wings of all time. He's such a balanced runner, such an all-around good rugby player. And we said, but I'm sorry, Cheslin's just got something. There's something, and that's what we went with. It was the hardest decision to make.
Yeah. No, I can see that. I mean, I'd go the other way, but I can see why it's a difficult decision, right? Because they're both absolute quality.
Yeah. Well, Dave, thank you so much for your time. Looking forward to hearing that we will see you in Johannesburg. So keep a lookout on the channel. You might yet see a shield floating up. So Dave, we'll definitely chat after this and make sure we can make a plan. But I do know that you need to get to meetings and likes that. So thank you very much for jumping on. For all of those, as I said, go and check out the Rayburn Shield on. I'm seeing on all the socials. Which ones in particular is the right one to go?
I think Instagram's probably the one that's the biggest. But honestly, I'm a persistent man, so I'm on all of them.
Cool. And if they want to support the project?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is sharing the content and having the discussion. There is options like the same wood that we made the shield out of. People can buy chunks of it, so they own a piece of memorabilia. Because I obviously don't have corporate sponsorship. This is fan built, and I'm trying to very much keep it for the people. So there's things like that. But I always say money is one of those things where I want people's attention and their buy-in. I'll figure the rest out, right? So if they can engage, support, tell their mate down the rugby club, that's amazing, right? So.
Lovely. Yeah, look, I mean, I suppose it wouldn't. We don't really want. I suppose you could have the Rayburn Shield brought to you by X for a while, but you're not going to get smack a big logo in the middle of the shield. I'm waiting for that. Though. I'm waiting for the William Webb Ellis Trophy brought to you by like Land Rover with the way that rugby commercialization is going. So let's try and keep the Rayburn Shield nice and pure. Dave, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time. We'll hopefully see you in person next week. And for everybody else, go get involved. It's a very cool project. And go and show support. Right, coming up, we're going to be chatting about the test to come this weekend. Me and X are going to be chatting about the boring rugby and whether it is boring rugby or whether it is the reality of what we need right now.
The FS Breakfast Club, every Monday from 10:30 with Stevie P and XReactingtoRugby. Live and exclusively on Forever Sports.
And this is going to be teeing up for the 60-second rant, which is on me this week. And the topic of that is basically going to be about style of play and the importance of it. But let's talk about this team this weekend. Rassie named it yesterday. Before we even actually talk about the team, we're going to talk about the fact that we have had a Monday team announcement with players in brackets, players being mentioned in the presser that might yet play. And I think the world is asking, sod it, I've been around, I'm asking, can we not just delay until we know who's fit?
Stevie, there's a question I wanted to ask Rassie. Last week I asked in the press conference, maybe in due time, I'll stop sitting there quavering in the chair and actually ask. Because last week I asked this question with regards to the team being aroused on. Well, the question was asked, and I mean, it was a matter of him. His answer was basically, apart from the respect, now it was respect, but the major thing was obviously the All Blacks not having enough time to analyze the team. And then yesterday I was sitting there, and when the team got announced, I literally wanted to ask this question first, be the first question, in a sense that I wanted him to sort of control the narrative, because you could easily say that, you know, Rassie is not respecting the All Blacks this week. You know, you could flip any of those reasons.
Yeah, because that's what he said last week. He says the reason we haven't named it is out of respect for the All Blacks. Now people are going to say, well, and now?
There we go. But the question was asked, it was probably the last question in the press conference. It was asked in Afrikaans. Now, Stevie, I don't know too much Afrikaans. I did get about 72% in grade 9. Shout out to Francois Nal, who said
that's more than I've ever gotten. So I can't say that I'm going to be much better use there.
Yeah, but from what I could get from what Rassie said there, because what was very awkward for me was watching Grant Williams do a press conference and be so perfect in starting every sentence with, if I make the team, you know, if I get selected, if.
Literally, I had this conversation with the journalist, and I was like, they need to start respecting us. Like, you had Grant, Malcolm, and Cheslin on press duty last week, and it was, yeah, so, you know, if I get... And I'm like, dude, we know you're playing.
Yeah.
Like we know you're playing. You're not asking if you're starting, if you're coming off the bench. We know you're playing.
There you go.
Just you can't have Malcolm Marx saying, obviously, you know, if I get the shot, dude, you're the only really real hooker we've got. Like, Johan Kobla's come in here, Jan Ninja Vessel's covered last week, Dion Free's covering this week. You are effectively the only hooker we've got. Stop saying, if I get selected.
100%. So, and for me, it was more of, because I think what he had mentioned is that, saying, because if you're looking at the psychology, everything, you announce the team on Monday, it's a hoo-ha, we talk about it Wednesday, and then when the opposition announces their team on Thursday, then it's about them. I wonder how much, and I don't want to say extra, but how much unfamiliar stress having a team announced on Thursday, I wonder how much stress that was on the players, considering now Friday captain's run, we are still hoo-ha about the team. Saturday, we are still... So it does sound like he did mention something to that effect of, you know, just allowing the players just to get the team out. They know they're in the team, and then we just get on with it. And fascinatingly enough, if obviously you did notice, but he came alone yesterday. He didn't have a player with him. So yeah, look, I just hope that because you cannot not read into which day he chooses to announce the team. Yes, you approach every game the same. Every game is important, but it's glaring. Like Monday, Thursday, huge difference.
And the question is, and you don't want to try and make everything is mind games. Having Paul de Villiers / Sia Kolisi, dropping that Cheslin might come into the side. You know, I do think that at the end of the day, Sia Kolisi will wear 6. Paul de Villiers will wear 6. Rassie has said that one of them will start, neither will be on the bench. They might wear the same number, two very different players.
Yeah.
And if you haven't watched Rugby Unlocked, a new episode dropping tomorrow, we go into the whole what's the difference. From an attacking ruck's point of view, Sia Kolisi is one of the best in the world at securing ball, making sure it's very available. Paul de Villiers very much on a defensive breakdown. Jackler gets involved. They're both good ball carriers in their own right. Sia Kolisi, dominant tackles, for example. So they're the same number, two different types of players. I suppose it's a bit like a Marley Bach versus a Andre Pollard situation. So from a prep point of view, you now have to sit there wondering, are we going to have to worry about the additional Jackler in the form of Paul de Villiers? Or do we have to now worry about the Sia Kolisi attacking breakdown, potentially dominant tackles, Ches and Colby versus Ethan Hooker? Very different players.
Yeah.
You know, both good aerial threats, but not the same. I mean, Ethan Hooker is tall, big, strong, quick as well.
Yeah.
I mean, in many ways, they keep saying, no, you know, he's going to finish at center. I personally don't mind him staying out at wing. So how much is there an element of mind games with this announcement?
I just hope these mind games are not going to hurt us.
Yeah.
If we, again, not going to go back to what we just discussed with the team announcement, but we've heard things, you don't train on Monday, you don't play on Saturday. Now, the press conference was on Monday, the team announcement was on Monday, so you could sit there and say, hey, the agreement was we announced the team on Monday. We are still not sure whether Sia is fine. Therefore, let's announce the team. Let's go to training. I thought by now we would know. Whether Sia or Paul.
Well, Rassie said last week Sia was fit. He said we could have selected him.
There we go.
And now it's if he gets through training. So it's like, guys, what's cooking behind there?
Yeah, no. Yeah. And I mean, the Cheslin and Ethan one, I mean, he said it's a cramp post-match interview. Press conference yesterday, it's more than a cramp. It's a bit of ankle.
Well, that's what I said. I was speaking to producer James, and people know producer James. And he said, oh, Rassie says it's a cramp. I said, but when he walked off, he looked like he had a limp. And I said it looked ankle. So when he then said it's a cramp, I'm like, well, my ankle's never cramped. I don't know about yours.
I was lucky to be at Ellis Park this weekend. I was shouting out of... So whatever happened to Cheslin, I can't remember what happened to him, but the play went all the way to our try line. Cheslin was literally sitting by the 22. His boots were off, and he was just sitting down there. I'm like, Cheslin is down, guys. Like, no one's seeing this. It was literally... They had already even made the change that the doctor then ran to Cheslin. I think they were changing the scrum house at that point.
Yes.
Grant was making his way out, and then he had to be told, hey, buddy, you
You're
gotta have
back
to
in,
stay. Because Cheslin is down. So it was a bit frustrating in just how everything happened. But, man, losing Cheslin, again, obviously, Andre Pollard is now in kicker. I'm guessing he's the second best kicker because Cheslin is the best kicker according to Rassie.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we don't know. We don't know if these are mind games. Why are we playing mind games? Like I said, I don't want to repeat myself, but I just hope the mind games rattle the All Blacks and not us. I hope the camp is in song with what's going on. I hope there are no players. I mean, players like your Apelele Fasi, Mani Libok, a lot of people are not happy. Obviously, we will have our reality. Rassie, as I say, there is a reality within the Springbok camp. You can just hope that that reality is the best for the camp right now.
Yeah, and this is the thing. It's about that alignment, isn't it? And the big thing is we need to make sure all the players have that alignment. And the nice thing is, you know, this is where Rassie and the coaching staff and the box thrive. Is this us against the world situation? And I think there'll be a lot of that at the moment. You know, people will not be in tune in social media officially, but they will.
Yeah. So
there will be amount of you need to go and remind people what you're about. You need to look at how we win 12 games in a row and you lose one, everyone's having a meltdown. This is the standards that you yourselves have created. At the end of the day, we've created the standards for ourselves. If we'd gone back 4 or 5 years ago, dropping a test against the All Blacks wouldn't have been, I mean, it's always a meltdown, but not to this extent.
Yeah, no.
The people are now so used to us being untouchable that you know, cut you and you bleed, oh, you are mere mortal, comes into play.
Yeah.
In terms of how we're going to play this weekend, because I did the live reaction yesterday, and there's been massive some fallout about, oh, this is going to be a kick team, and this is scrum team, and this is boring. We need to throw the ball around. We've picked boring players. It's an old squad. As far as I'm concerned, this weekend is about winning 3-0 if we have to.
Yeah.
Like 1 penalty to nothing. If that's the final score, lovely. Is this the right team to get a result? I think that's the question.
It has been. And when you say boring players, I'm looking at the team and I'm thinking, is it boring players or is it 1 or 2 players that people feel will bring a type of game that they don't really enjoy? Now, obviously, Andre Pollard has done it, Mr. Iceman. Rassie does mention in terms of the weather conditions that could potentially, in Cape Town. I'm worried, Stevie. We watched the All Blacks hammer the Sharks playing in a flood. There were players running with one hand, ball in hand, and I mean, history does prove that even way back, the All Blacks, they were very popular with their skill set due to sort of the conditions they play in New Zealand, in terms of just their handling skills, their ability to let the ball work while, in wet conditions. Now, your question, it does seem like we will sort of, I mean, it is what it is. I think the more we sort of understand the kicking way of playing rugby, and then we get a game where the kicking is sort of not making sense. It's like a back and forth. When we win, when it works, when we make 2 kicks and make it into the 22, have a line-out maul, score a try, it's happy days. But I think, if anything, I don't think it's the type of rugby that we're going to play that will be the issue. The issue that we have is the issue we had in the weekend. Can we convert? How we get to the 22, I don't think we should be worried about too much. You've just mentioned now, even if we win by 1 point, we did it in the World Cup 3 times, and we have that title. We've won that World Cup. It doesn't matter how much the win is, but what are we going to do when we get to the 22? Ellis Park was dry, beautiful weather. Apparently, the All Blacks were ripping the ball instead of making a tackle that we had practiced. Are we going to be ready for that? Are we going to practice a bit of pummeling? Are we going to practice a bit of, I don't know, chest press? What exercise do you even do to keep the ball tight against your chest when you make contact?
You deploy the Jasper. That is what you do. You deploy the Jasper.
But I mean, you need 14 other people to be able to hold. I mean, Jasper, I watched, there was a clip that came up, so many compliments, people are like, this guy kept us in the game, with his carries. But if we are not going to be able to put the ball on the other side of that wide line.
Well, that's what we said in our Rugby Unlocked. We said it felt like it was Jasper against the world. Obviously, Oxenchair, Volkolo, phenomenal at scrum time. And there were other guys who had good games, like a Chase and the likes of that. But we felt we just didn't have enough people getting over that advantage line and being able to ride the wave there. And I think that's it. And we've been a big advocate, and we spoke about this in Rugby Unlocked, that rugby is not, there's no this whole moral thing of playing rugby the right way. And lo and behold, I do see that we do have an All Blacks fan in the comments saying exactly that, saying boring squad, snooze face, etc., etc. We keep saying, well, that's what league's for. Take away the set piece, run at each other, X, Y, Z. I think wet conditions, it's know your limits. Know what you're good at. And I mean, you would never go and tell Floyd Mayweather, the best defensive boxer of all time, listen, go on all-out attack. Like go and he was fit and he was a great defensive boxer. You're never going to tell him just go out, all guns blazing, tire yourself out and try and knock him out in the first round. Not what you're good at. Stick to what you're good at and stick to what we're going to be able to use in the conditions. We're not going to be as good as in the rain as the All Blacks from a skill set point of view. We don't get as much rain unless you're in the Western Cape, which when we do that kind of rain, it's just mud and it's a disaster. So I think, play the conditions. And again, we mustn't be revisionist about what happened over in the weekend. The weekend was not 80 minutes of the All Blacks dominating the box. It was a first 20-minute stanza where we basically just traded blows. It was then a half an hour where the box were on top, but converted next to nothing. And then the wheels kind of came off 60 minutes plus for the last 20 minutes. But because that was the last 20 minutes, that's what we remember. and we forget how dominant we were. And not just the scrums, but we had possession. We were on the front foot. We were winning some balls in the air. At one stage, the game plan was working.
Yeah.
So you can't forget that. And that's why I think, I said it's easy to look at this team and say, but this is the team that lost. I said, but this is also the team that dominated for a large part of the game.
Yes.
Just about converting. So on that point, we've got a very different bench this weekend.
Yes.
With Runners himself
Mm.
coming up on 40 years old,
Jeez.
and yet looking like a child on Christmas every time he walks onto the field. But some big names on the bench: Lourt Diaga, Thomas Toy, Dion Free, Cameron Hanekom getting a chance. 6-2 split. Morne van den Berg, not going to watch him tonight, but they don't need him because Nico Stay and Harsh and P, those are box in the making. Big calls on the bench. It's a completely overhaul, really.
Yeah, it is. It is a bit of an overhaul. I mean, the consistent comment is when Ox and Wilco left the field in terms of our set piece, the scrums. I mean, Rassie mentions how he feels like, they could have just gone for that 3 points is 2 points, less than 5. It was so fascinating to hear him say that. But Thomas Dutoy and Gerard and Branas, and then also Markov and starting falling out, Andre Easthuizen and still being, hey, Rassie mentions that Andre Easthuizen has been training at flank for majority of the preparations, and he took the blame with regards to the change that he made when Kirtley got injured.
Saying it should have been Kubis.
Saying should have been Kubis.
Kept Jesse at 13 and kept Andre out of the 12 channel.
So now I'm looking at this because again it is a 6-2 because it's easy, it's fun, Stevie, to say things. Is it a 6-2? Is it a 5.5, 2.5?
Well, I think it is a 6-2, and I think maybe Rassie always talks about how jersey numbers are irrelevant, but he is wearing the 20, which even in a 5-3 you'd never be wearing the 20. So I do think, I mean, obviously we know he's at Sharks, he's an inside center. But as Rassie said, he's been training at flank, even training at 8. And I think that he got I think he said it. He said he got the changes wrong.
Yeah.
We lost the scrum dominance. We made some bad calls. We looked a bit disjointed. Defensively, we took out General, which is Jesse Creel. We stuck him out on the wing where he couldn't communicate.
Yeah.
I think it was a bit of a snowball of errors, and that Rassie said on a coaching side where they made the wrong decisions and things kind of fell apart.
And I mean, watching the game live, you get to see quite a bit. If you haven't noticed, everyone listening, I am pretty stoked. It was my second time watching the Springboks play live, but the amount of coaching that I saw going to Jesse, I mean, the amount of times that Damien Willemse was pointing where he should go and calling him to come in. And I mean, yes, Jesse can play wing, but how many times has he played wing in the past 8 years? So it's not like, yes, many may argue that's where I played wing. We were told that we've got the nice boots, always checking your hair. But there's a lot of tacticality there. There's a lot of sort of how to cover ground. Yeah. I don't know. I kind of losing my track of thought. Balance me again. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I just think that we got things wrong. As I think we lost the best version of JC Creel by putting him out on the wing. I think the value he brings at outside center is being closer to the game. And we talk about 10, 12, 13 access. We kind of lost that as well. Andre Esterhuizen and Damien Delende, very similar centers to a certain degree, very bulky, very direct. Damien Delende's got a very nice pass to him, but they're also not necessarily natural distributors within the system. So I think that we lost the balance over there, and I do think our bench looks a bit more balanced this weekend. I still do worry about depth at outside center because we don't really have a natural replacement for Jesse, but I also think that he'll stay at 13. If we get an injury on the wing, I think we'll see Damien Willemse move to the wing like we saw last season, and we might see Sacha move to full back. It's not my favorite combination, but I think that from a horse's point of view, I think that'll make more sense than pushing Jesse back out onto the wing. And I also think in terms of options at 12, if you do have to move Damien to 13, for example, we're not going to have. I wouldn't put Andre Estes at 12. I would have Sacha at 12, or I would have Damien at 12, Willem and Sacha at 15. You know, you could put Sacha at 10 and Andre at 12. I would avoid the Delendi, Esterhazy access if we can. Yeah. And I also think that, you know, once again, we've got a very different type of bench from a leadership and just calmness point of view, as well as guys who know the conditions. Deon Fourie knows the Western Cape. I mean, he was basically there when Jan van Riebeeck jumped off. Deon Fourie was already sitting there saying, I've been waiting for you. Where's the rugby ball? Have you guys brought it from the UK? Because I've got shit to do here. Yeah. He knows the conditions so well. He's a big match player. Thomas du Toit has been one of the best players in the Prem for the last few seasons. I think he was a big absentee last week. I think Vilkalo being the best scrummaging tight head that we have was the thinking, but I do think Thomas du Toit will come on and add a lot of calmness. And we could talk about this for ages, but we've got a few minutes left, and we want to talk a little bit about Currie Cup, because a certain next hybrid player that we all love and been waiting to see, and as Alliance fans, I'm unashamedly going to fit this segment in. Ethan Adams made his debut over the weekend in the Currie Cup, and we had a very interesting result down in the Western Cape. Let's chat about it.
The FS Breakfast Club, every Monday from 10:30 with Stevie P and XReactingtoRugby. Live and exclusively on Forever Sports.
Right, X. Our teams went toe-to-toe on a Friday night, and it still feels like a loss to me. Sorry, Sam Francis, but yeah, it was an emotional time, and frustrated because I think that was a game that we just didn't really pitch up for. But lo and behold, in and amongst what was eventually a draw, we had a debut for one of the most exciting junior Boks who has yet to be able to get that debut, and that is Ethan Adams at the Lions. And I tell you what, the term brick shithouse has never been more appropriate for a guy who is just raw power packed into. I mean, he's not small, but he's not tall, so he's just like, he looks like a hooker until he starts running.
Yeah, down to earth guy. He came on. It was probably like a minute or two into the second half. And the Sharks, I was shocked. I was making stories. I was feeling a bit jolly, all right? Looking at the Sharks, and I'm like, hey, the Sharks are doing something. And I mean, Christy Grobelaar ran down that touchline, scored another try. And I was sitting there, I'm like, guys, I was about to make a story talking about, you know, how Ethan Adams is going to turn this game around. But the Sharks look like they're onto something. But listen, Ethan Adams, I'm excited for him because there's a lot of people who've been having opinions. I've had my own opinions on Ethan Adams. In my opinion, I don't think it's too far from yours. I see a hybrid there. I see a 12-2 sort of player. But I think the major question people had was his physicality. Will that translate into the senior setup?
Yes.
It's safe to say, Stephen, it was nice to see 4 players try get him down on his first touch. Literally sucking in so many players. And that try, man, some things, you know, when they happen, it's a pity. I enjoy the game of rugby. But again, I'll probably share that story. I literally say, Ethan is going to do something here. I'm calling defense for the Sharks, and that kid gets the ball. Goose is outside. And again, what I love about him is he actually kind of loves rugby. I don't think he's too much into what we love seeing from him. He actually just enjoys playing good game of rugby. He knows what he has, but it's not an ego trip for him. He will make a pass when he needs to. Drifts outside, makes the pass. Mentu steps in, try 22-22. We're not gonna really dwell on what Sam Francis could or could not do, but I mean, that kid is special. And I keep having this question because I think we're also in a situation, Stevie, where it's like there's this sense of stamp of approval. Should you get like a Springbok call-up, you know, your Marcus Muller, Chiswell, Euster, Batubele Hlekani, Hashim Peed. It's like if you are not part of that crew, it kind of seems like maybe you're not as elite as you thought you were. But obviously he had a couple of injuries. It was his first game back. Excited to see Ethan in this Currie Cup. It is a pity that the Lions, all of us, all the franchises, we holding the bottom end of that log. But yeah, it was pretty good watching him play.
Yeah, well, in terms of the Currie Cup, last round this weekend, and we go into the playoffs. Lions hosting Western Province, and basically winner takes all a little bit in terms of getting into that final spot. So it's a bit tough, but yeah, I'm excited about him. And I think the nice thing, I always laugh because everybody's been saying that Lions haven't been backing Harsh and P and he must go because they don't back young players. And I was like, well, the Lions have got the youngest squad by a country mile, and look at how many youngsters have come up. And I think him alongside Bronson Mills, inside centre, has been a major issue for the Lions.
Yeah,
which Aquil tonight, for the first time, I'm going, oh yes, we've got some exciting options. But we are just about out of time, which means what we're going to do is we're going to move into the 60-second rant.
Let's go.
Because I've been building this up and need to get it out, and then we're basically going to call it a day and go our separate ways, and then we meet up a bit later. So for those of you on you, we do a 60-second rant where basically one of us each week goes on a topic, and no holds barred, off you go. And today the topic is very, very simply: there's no such thing as boring rugby. Rugby is rugby. 60-second rant coming up now.
The 60-second rant on the FS Breakfast Club. In 3, 2, 1.
Rugby union is rugby union for very, very simple reasons. We have set pieces. We have got lineouts. We have scrums. We have everything. We have all of that. And it is about getting results. It is not about champagne rugby. It's not about how many tries. We have been dumbed down to consume tries, long-range efforts, and skills because they are clippable. We have become a TikTok society of highlight reels, and that is the only thing that matters. And at the end of the day, that is not what rugby is about. Rugby is about the grind. It's about the tactical news. It's about the subtleties that make rugby everything that it is. And if you can't appreciate that, then you don't belong within rugby union. It's not about the right way to play. It is about the different ways of playing. It's about the different players that can get involved, from the 145 kg to the 90 kg, from the 2.5 to 210 to the 180. And the variation is what makes rugby rugby. And if you don't like it, go somewhere else.
There we go.
Well,
There you go.
it's been building that because as South African fans, we have to take a lot of criticism about how we play the game, and that's all I'm concerned. Not.
We should start complaining about the amount of offloads done.
Yeah. I didn't like Saturday. There's just far too much running,
too much passing.
Yeah.
You pass the ball more than you actually carry it, which
Yeah.
is
Can you tackle? I mean, we're going to see hopefully a lot of running tonight. Let's wrap up. We've got a Ellis Park game to prepare for. We've got a second test to get ourselves in for. If you guys do see us later, give us a shout. Come and say hi. And if you haven't, get your tickets. Like, they've dropped down. You can get there for 250 Rand. I think we're in for a really, really good match tonight. I think we could be the best franchise game to watch. So hopefully we do see a decent crowd in. But that isn't it for the FS Breakfast Club. We'll be back next week, Monday/Tuesday, pending Rassie. Hopefully we'll ask him to give us a bit of a heads up. But thank you for watching, and we'll see you in a bit.
The FS Breakfast Club, every Monday from 10:30 with Stevie P and X reacting to rugby. Live and exclusively on